What if I told you that the oil in your engine, something most drivers barely think about, could be the difference between a car that runs smoothly for 300,000 miles and one that fails before 100,000? Most people still believe synthetic oil is just a more expensive version of regular oil, but the truth is far more interesting, and in some cases, surprising. Synthetic oil isn't simply oil from the lab. It's engineered on a molecular level to handle stress that conventional oil can't. That's why airplanes, race cars, and high-performance engines rely on it. But here's the twist. Not everything you've heard about synthetic is true. From myths about leaks in older engines to confusion over switching back and forth, there's a lot of misinformation out there. In this video, we're diving into 17 truths and myths about synthetic oil that most drivers don't know. By the end, you'll understand not just what's in the bottle, but what it means for your engine, your wallet, and your peace of mind. Fact number 17. Synthetic versus conventional. What really makes them different? At first glance, synthetic oil looks like any other motor oil. Same golden color, same viscosity labels, same job of keeping your engine lubricated. But under the microscope, the differences are dramatic. Conventional oil comes straight from refined crude. It's a natural product, which means its molecules vary wildly in size and shape. That inconsistency leads to uneven lubrication, faster breakdown under heat, and more sludge buildup over time. Synthetic oil, on the other hand, is engineered. Chemists design its molecules to be uniform and consistent. That precision means smoother flow, less friction, and stronger resistance to oxidation. The result? Oil that doesn't break down as quickly, holds viscosity longer, and protects engines better under stress. In fact, tests have shown synthetic oils resist thermal breakdown up to 50% better than conventional oils. This doesn't just matter for performance cars. Even in everyday driving, the benefits add up. Cleaner engines, fewer deposits, and less wear on critical parts. Over thousands of miles, synthetic oil reduces internal friction so efficiently that it can even improve fuel economy slightly. Think of it like the difference between cooking with raw, unfiltered oil versus one that's been purified and stabilized in a lab. Both get the job done, but one is clearly more consistent and reliable. That's the foundation of why synthetic is different. But next, let's break down one of the biggest myths about it. The idea that once you switch to synthetic, you can never go back. Fact number 16. Myth. Once you switch to synthetic, you can't go back. This is one of the longest running myths in the car world, and it still confuses drivers today. The idea is simple. If you start using synthetic oil, your engine somehow becomes dependent on it, and switching back to conventional will cause damage. The truth? That's not how oil works at all. Engines don't form an addiction to one type of lubricant. What really matters is that the oil meets the correct specifications for your car. Things like viscosity grade, 5W30, 0W20, and industry certifications, API, Dexos, etc. If both oils meet those requirements, your engine will run just fine on either. So, where did the myth come from? Back in the early days of synthetic oils, some drivers experienced leaks when switching over. But the problem wasn't that synthetic caused the leaks. It was that synthetic oil cleaned out old sludge that had been masking weak seals. Once that sludge dissolved, existing leaks became visible. Conventional oil, being thicker and less refined, sometimes hid the issue again. So people assumed switching back solved it. Modern seal conditioners in both conventional and synthetic oils prevent this issue almost entirely. Today, mixing or switching between them is safe as long as you're using the right grade. In short, you can switch back and forth without worry. But the bigger question is, why would you want to, when synthetic handles extreme conditions so much better? Fact number 15. Why synthetic oil handles extreme temperatures better. Engines rarely live in perfect conditions. They face freezing winter mornings, scorching summer heat, long highway drives, and sudden stop-and-go traffic. Conventional oil, being less refined, struggles at both ends of the temperature spectrum. In extreme cold, its uneven molecules thicken and resist flowing quickly. That delay means metal parts grind against each other for crucial seconds before lubrication reaches them. In extreme heat, conventional oil oxidizes faster, thinning out and losing its protective film. Synthetic oil is engineered specifically to avoid those problems. Its molecules are uniform in size, which keeps viscosity stable. In cold weather, synthetics flow more easily, allowing instant lubrication during cold starts, the moment when most engine wear occurs. In hot conditions, synthetics resist breakdown, maintaining their film strength even when engine parts are running at hundreds of degrees. That's why high-performance cars, turbocharged engines, and even jet turbines rely on synthetic lubrication. Independent tests have shown that synthetic oils retain their protective properties up to 450 degrees Fahrenheit, while conventional oils begin to oxidize and thicken well below that point. On the flip side, at sub-zero temperatures, synthetics pump through the system more than twice as quickly as conventional oil, drastically reducing startup wear. For everyday drivers, that translates into smoother starts in winter, consistent protection during summer road trips, and overall longer engine life. It's not about luxury, it's about resilience. And speaking of longevity, let's tackle one of the most debated claims around synthetic oil. Does it really allow you to go longer between oil changes? Fact number 14, extended drain intervals. Fact or marketing? One of the biggest selling points for synthetic oil is that it lasts longer than conventional. Oil brands and even some dealerships advertise drain intervals of 7,500, 10,000, or even 15,000 miles between changes. But is that real? Or just clever marketing? The truth lies somewhere in between. Synthetic oil really does resist breakdown better than conventional. Its stable molecular structure and advanced additives keep it from oxidizing and turning to sludge as quickly. In lab conditions, synthetics can maintain protection far longer than conventional oils. But here's the catch. Your car doesn't live in a lab. Driving habits, climate, short trips, stop-and-go traffic, and even engine design all affect how fast oil degrades. While synthetic oil can last longer, pushing every vehicle to maximum intervals isn't always wise. For example, frequent short drives in cold weather create moisture and fuel dilution that no oil can completely resist. On the other hand, a highway commuter in a modern engine can safely stretch beyond the old 3,000-mile rule. The safest bet is to follow your manufacturer's recommended interval, which often accounts for synthetic oil by default. For many modern cars, that's 5,000 to 7,500 miles, with some extending to 10,000 under ideal conditions. Going further is possible, but only with regular oil analysis to prove the oil is still healthy. So yes, synthetic oil supports extended drains, but only if matched with the right driving conditions. It's about balance, not blanket promises. Fact number 13, synthetic blend versus full synthetic, the hidden truth. Walk down any auto parts aisle and you'll see two main options beyond conventional oil, full synthetic and synthetic blend. The labels suggest a middle ground, something more affordable than full synthetic, but better than conventional. But what's actually inside a synthetic blend, and is it worth it? A synthetic blend is exactly what it sounds like, a mixture of conventional base oil with some percentage of synthetic. The idea is to offer improved protection and stability compared to conventional oil at a lower cost than full synthetic. Sounds great, right? Here's the problem. Manufacturers don't disclose the exact ratio. A blend might contain as little as 10% synthetic, or as much as 40%. You never really know. That inconsistency makes blends unpredictable. While they do offer slightly better resistance to oxidation and breakdown than conventional oil, they don't deliver the full range of benefits you get with a 100% synthetic product, especially in extreme temperatures or under heavy engine loads. For many drivers, the price difference between a synthetic blend and a full synthetic isn't huge, often just a few dollars per quart. Over the span of an oil change, that gap usually adds up to less than a single tank of gas. When you factor in the added protection, longevity, and stability of full synthetic, blends often feel like a compromise that doesn't truly deliver. So, while blends may look like the safe, middle option, the hidden truth is that full synthetic almost always provides better long-term value. Fact number 12, why some high-mileage engines benefit from synthetic. There's a common belief that once an engine racks up high miles, it should stick to conventional oil, or that switching to synthetic will somehow harm it. But modern synthetic oils formulated for high-mileage engines can actually extend the life of older vehicles when chosen carefully. Here's why. Over time, seals and gaskets in an engine naturally harden and shrink. That can lead to small oil leaks or increased consumption. High-mileage synthetic oils are blended with special seal conditioners that gently rehydrate and expand those seals, slowing leaks and reducing oil burn. In addition, synthetics maintain their viscosity better, so even worn bearings and rings still get a consistent protective film. Another big factor is cleanliness. Older engines accumulate deposits, varnish, and sludge. Conventional oils tend to let these build up, but synthetic oils clean slowly and consistently, preventing further sludge without shocking the system. The result is a cleaner, more efficient engine that breathes and runs better. Of course, there's one caveat. If a high-mileage engine is already severely neglected and full of sludge, switching immediately to a detergent-rich synthetic may expose leaks that sludge was masking. In that case, it's wise to transition gradually, or use a high-mileage blend before moving fully synthetic. For engines that have been reasonably maintained, synthetic high-mileage oils are one of the best ways to keep them reliable beyond the 150,000-mile mark. Fact number 11. Cold start protection where synthetic shines. Most engine wear doesn't happen while you're cruising on the highway. It happens during the first few seconds after you turn the key, the cold start. When an engine sits overnight, oil drains back into the sump, leaving metal surfaces with only a thin residual film. At startup, the engine is momentarily running almost dry until oil pumps back through. In freezing weather, conventional oil thickens and flows sluggishly, making that dry window even longer. Synthetic oil changes that story. Its molecules are engineered to remain fluid at much lower temperatures. Many full synthetic oils flow freely at -40 degrees Fahrenheit, while conventional oils at the same temperature can behave like molasses. That fast flow coats bearings, camshafts, and cylinder walls almost instantly, reducing metal-to-metal contact during the most vulnerable moments of operation. This isn't just theory. Cold crank simulator tests, the industry standard for measuring oil viscosity at low temperatures, consistently show synthetics outperforming conventional oils by a wide margin. The difference can be the equivalent of your oil pump, working twice as hard just to push conventional oil through. For drivers in northern climates, cold start protection isn't a luxury, it's essential. But even in moderate regions, synthetic oil minimizes startup wear year-round. Every engine experiences cold starts daily, and the less time it runs unprotected, the longer it lasts. That's why cold start performance is one of the strongest reasons automakers now recommend synthetic oil from the factory in so many modern cars. Fact number 10. Myth: synthetic oil causes leaks in older engines. This is one of the most persistent myths about synthetic oil. Ask around, and you'll still hear people swear that switching to synthetic ruins older engines by making them leak. But the truth is much different. Synthetic oil itself does not cause leaks. What actually happens is that synthetic oils have superior detergents and cleaning agents. When introduced into an older engine that's been running on conventional oil for years, those detergents gradually dissolve the sludge and deposits that were clogging or masking worn seals. Once that sludge is gone, the weak spots are exposed and oil seeps through. Drivers often blame the synthetic, when in reality, the leak was already there. Modern synthetic oils, especially those formulated for high-mileage vehicles, actually contain seal conditioners that help rejuvenate aging gaskets and minimize leakage. They are designed to work with older engines, not against them. In fact, because synthetic maintains viscosity more consistently, it can reduce oil consumption compared to conventional, especially in engines with some wear. The key takeaway: if a car starts leaking after a switch to synthetic, it's not the oil creating a new problem, it's revealing an old one. Addressing the underlying seal or gasket is the real solution. So instead of avoiding synthetic out of fear, older engines can often benefit from its stability, cleanliness, and conditioning properties. Far from being harmful, synthetic can actually help extend the usable life of high-mileage vehicles. Fact number 9. Additives in synthetic oils, what they actually do. When you look at a bottle of synthetic oil, the base oil is only part of the story. Up to 30% of what's inside is made up of additives, and they're what make the oil perform far beyond simply being slippery. Each additive has a specific job, and together they create the protection modern engines demand. Detergents and dispersants keep engines clean by neutralizing acids and suspending contaminants so they don't settle into sludge. Anti-wear agents like zinc and phosphorus form protective layers on metal surfaces under high pressure, such as in camshafts and lifters. Viscosity index improvers ensure the oil flows at cold start, but still protects at high heat. Antioxidants fight thermal breakdown, while corrosion inhibitors protect metal parts from moisture and fuel contamination. Synthetic oils have an advantage here because their uniform base molecules provide a stable platform for additives to work more effectively. The result is oil that stays in grade longer, resists thickening, and continues protecting even under punishing conditions like towing, stop-and-go traffic, or turbocharged boost. Without additives, even the most advanced synthetic base oil would fail quickly. Think of the additives as the team working with the oil to handle all the challenges engines throw at it. That's why choosing the right oil isn't just about viscosity, but also about ensuring it carries the proper certifications and additive package for your vehicle. The bottle may look simple, but inside is an engineered chemical cocktail designed for maximum protection. Fact number 8. Synthetic oil in turbocharged engines. Critical protection. Turbochargers are one of the biggest reasons automakers now recommend synthetic oil from the factory. A turbo spins at speeds exceeding 150,000 RPM, with temperatures in the housing climbing well past 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That creates an environment where conventional oils simply can't cope. Here's the issue. When a turbocharger shuts down, oil sitting in the hot bearings can literally cook into carbon deposits, a problem known as coking. Those deposits restrict oil flow, increase friction, and can eventually destroy the turbo. Conventional oil, with its less stable molecules, is far more likely to break down under that heat. Synthetic oil, on the other hand, resists oxidation and thermal breakdown much better. Its uniform structure keeps it stable at extreme temperatures, preventing coking and ensuring continuous lubrication. Many synthetics are tested specifically in turbocharged conditions and demonstrate dramatically lower deposit formation compared to conventional oils. The difference is not just longevity, it's survival. A conventional oil change interval might keep a naturally aspirated engine safe, but in a turbocharged motor, the stakes are much higher. That's why nearly every modern turbo engine, from small 4-cylinders to high-performance sports cars, is filled with synthetic oil right from the factory. If you drive a turbo vehicle, synthetic oil isn't an upgrade, it's a requirement for reliability. Skimping here can turn into a very expensive repair bill. Fact number 7. Racing oils versus street synthetics. Not the same thing. It's easy to assume that the oil designed for race cars must be the ultimate choice for your daily driver. After all, racing oils are engineered for extreme performance, right? But here's the truth. Racing oils and street synthetics are built for very different jobs, and using the wrong one can actually shorten your engine's life. Racing oils prioritize maximum film strength and high temperature stability for engines that run at the limit. They're often loaded with anti-wear additives like zinc and phosphorus in concentrations higher than what's allowed for street use. While that sounds good, those same additives can damage catalytic converters over time, which is why street-legal oils are carefully balanced to protect both the engine and emission systems. Another key difference is lifespan. Racing oils aren't made for 5,000-mile service intervals. They're designed to be changed after every event, sometimes after just a few hours of use. They lack the detergents and long-term stability that daily drivers need. Synthetic street oils, by contrast, are formulated to handle stop-and-go traffic, cold starts, moisture, and months of operation. They balance wear protection with detergency, emission system safety, and extended drain intervals. So while racing oil may sound impressive, it's not a better option for your commute. In fact, it could do more harm than good. The right synthetic for the street is one that carries the certifications your manufacturer specifies, not one designed for the track. Fact number 6. Certification symbols. What matters, what doesn't. When you pick up a bottle of synthetic oil, the front label is full of bold promises. Advanced protection, extended life, ultimate performance. But the most important part is often the small circle or rectangle printed on the back. That's where you'll find certifications like A, P, I, S, P, I, L, S, A, C, G, F, 6, or Dexos 1 Gen 3. These symbols aren't marketing. They're proof that the oil meets rigorous industry and manufacturer standards. The API, American Petroleum Institute, symbol guarantees that the oil has passed minimum requirements for wear, protection, deposit control, and fuel efficiency. ILSAC, International Lubricant Specification Advisory Committee, takes it further with standards aimed at modern engines, including turbocharged and direct injection systems. Automaker certifications, like GM's Dexos, are even stricter, requiring testing in specific engines before approval. Here's why this matters. Two oils on the shelf might both say full synthetic, but only one may carry the certification your car requires. Using uncertified oil could void warranties, reduce protection, or cause long-term issues. On the flip side, don't be fooled by fancy language or racing stripes on the label. Words like premium or ultimate have no standardized meaning. The certifications are the only guarantee that the oil actually performs to tested standards. So, when in doubt, flip the bottle around. If you see the certification symbol that matches your car's manual, you're choosing an oil that truly delivers, not just one that markets well. Fact number 5, myth. Once you go synthetic, you never need to change it. One of the biggest misconceptions about synthetic oil is that it's a fill-it-and-forget-it solution. Because synthetics resist breakdown better than conventional oils, some drivers assume they never need to be changed. But no matter how advanced the oil is, it doesn't last forever. Here's why. Even though synthetic molecules remain stable, the oil still collects contaminants over time. Combustion byproducts like soot, unburned fuel, and microscopic metal particles all find their way into the crankcase. Add moisture from condensation, and suddenly even the best oil is carrying a chemical cocktail that can't protect as well as it did when fresh. The additives in synthetic oil, detergents, anti-wear agents, and antioxidants also get used up as they do their job. Once depleted, the oil loses its edge. That's why every automaker, even those that factory fill with synthetic, still recommends scheduled oil changes. For many vehicles, that's between 5,000 and 10,000 miles, depending on driving habits and conditions. Some high-end synthetics claim to stretch longer, but only if the car sees mostly highway driving under ideal conditions. So while synthetic oil absolutely extends protection and allows for longer intervals than conventional, it's not a permanent fluid. Think of it as stronger armor that still wears down over time. Ignoring oil changes altogether risks sludge, accelerated wear, and voided warranties. Bottom line, synthetic gives you more flexibility, not immunity. Regular changes are still non-negotiable. Fact number 4, cost breakdown. Why synthetic isn't really more expensive. At first glance, synthetic oil looks pricey. A conventional oil change might run $30 to $40, while a synthetic one can easily cost $60 to $80 at a shop. For many drivers, that sticker shock is enough to stick with conventional. But when you look deeper, the numbers tell a different story. Synthetic oil typically lasts longer between changes. Instead of 3,000 miles, the old rule of thumb for conventional, many cars on synthetic safely go 5,000 to 7,500 miles, with some even stretching to 10,000 under the right conditions. That means fewer oil changes over the life of the vehicle. For example, over 60,000 miles, a conventional user might need 20 oil changes, while a synthetic user only needs around 8 to 12. Multiply that by shop labor and disposal fees, and the cost difference narrows quickly. There's also the hidden value of protection. Synthetic oil reduces wear, resists sludge, and keeps engines cleaner. That translates into fewer expensive repairs down the road. Avoiding one major repair, like replacing a sludged-up timing chain or seized turbo, can save thousands, far outweighing the few extra dollars per oil change. And here's the kicker. When you do the math per mile, synthetic often costs pennies more, but provides exponentially better protection. It's like paying a little extra for premium shoes that last twice as long. So while synthetic looks expensive up front, in the long run, it usually saves you both money and headaches. Fact number 3, synthetic oil and fuel economy. Is there a real gain? One of the quieter claims about synthetic oil is that it can improve gas mileage. But does pouring it into your engine really make a noticeable difference at the pump? The answer is yes. Though it's not magic, it's mechanics. Synthetic oils have more uniform molecules and fewer impurities compared to conventional oils. That uniformity reduces internal friction as the oil flows across bearings, pistons, and camshafts. Less friction means the engine doesn't have to work as hard to overcome resistance, which in turn can free up a little efficiency. Cold start performance also plays a role. Because synthetic oil flows faster in low temperatures, the engine reaches optimal lubrication sooner, avoiding the extra drag and wasted fuel that comes with thick, sluggish oil. Over time, this adds up, especially for drivers in colder climates. Now, we're not talking about huge leaps. Switching to synthetic won't suddenly gain you 5 extra miles per gallon. The improvements are often modest, sometimes in the range of 1 to 2%. But stretched across tens of thousands of miles, even small percentage gains mean fewer trips to the gas station and lower overall costs. The real benefit is consistency. Synthetic oil helps your engine maintain efficiency over the long haul by preventing sludge, reducing wear, and keeping internals clean. A well-maintained engine always performs closer to its original design specs, and that translates to better fuel economy year after year. So yes, synthetic oil does improve mileage, just in steady, reliable increments rather than dramatic jumps. Fact number 2, the psychological factor. Why drivers feel more confident with synthetic. Not every benefit of synthetic oil shows up in lab tests or engineering charts. Some of its value comes from how drivers feel when they use it. There's a real psychological effect that goes beyond molecules and mileage. When you pour in synthetic, you know you're using a product engineered to handle extremes, the same type of oil trusted in high-performance engines, jet turbines, and long-haul trucks. That knowledge brings peace of mind. Drivers report feeling less anxious about long trips, hot weather, or freezing starts because they believe the oil can handle it. And in truth, it often can. There's also a sense of pride in knowing you're giving your car the best. For many owners, especially those with high-mileage vehicles or cars they plan to keep for years, that decision feels like investing in longevity. It's not just oil, it's insurance against unexpected breakdowns. Even mechanics play into this. When a shop recommends synthetic, drivers often equate it with premium care, reinforcing the idea that their engine is better protected. This boost in confidence can change behavior too. People who believe their engine is well cared for tend to maintain their cars more consistently. So, while the technical benefits are undeniable, synthetic oil's ability to reassure and empower drivers shouldn't be overlooked. Confidence on the road is part of the value, and synthetic delivers both practically and psychologically. Fact number 1. Keeping an oil change log, the smartest habit for engine health. No matter what oil you use, conventional, blend, or full synthetic, the smartest drivers know the real secret to engine longevity isn't just the oil itself, but the record-keeping that goes with it. An oil change log turns maintenance into a trackable history instead of a guessing game. Here's why it matters. Engines thrive on consistency. If you can look back and see exactly when each oil change was done, with what type of oil and filter, you eliminate the risk of stretching intervals too far or forgetting altogether. This is especially important with synthetic, since longer drain intervals can blur the line between safe and overdue. A log also reveals patterns. Maybe you notice that your car tends to consume half a quart between 6,000 and 7,000 miles, or that oil looks darker faster in summer than winter. These notes help you tailor your maintenance schedule to your actual driving, not just the generic recommendation in the manual. Finally, there's resale value. A potential buyer who sees a tidy record of oil changes, especially with high-quality synthetic oils, will view the car as well cared for, often making it easier to sell, and even boosting its value. You don't need fancy tools either. A simple notebook in the glove box, a spreadsheet, or even a phone app does the job. In the end, the log makes every quart of synthetic oil you buy work harder for you. And there you have it, 17 truths and myths about synthetic oil that most drivers never hear. What started out decades ago as a niche product for high-performance machines has now become the standard for protecting everything from family sedans to turbocharged trucks. We've seen how synthetic outperforms conventional oil in extreme heat and cold, why it lasts longer, and how it keeps engines cleaner over time. We've also cleared up the myths, like the idea that it causes leaks, or that once you switch, you can never go back. At the end of the day, synthetic oil isn't hype. It's chemistry and engineering working in your favor. Whether you drive short trips in the city or rack up highway miles, understanding the truth about your oil means you make better choices, save money, and add years to your engine's life. If you found this video helpful, consider giving it a like, sharing it with another driver, and subscribing for more calm, practical car advice. Stay smart, drive safe, and remember, the right oil is the quiet protector of every mile you drive.